Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Couple of Nukes. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Whiskey, but not as always. Yes, indeed, we have an in-person international interview. Super excited about this. Like I've mentioned in past episodes, they're not easy to find here in Japan. Everyone's busy, overworked, tired. It's too hot outside, which is fair. It is very hot outside, but we've got the air conditioning on in here, and we us men, we had our own parasols, behind our shoulders, keeping us cool. So we're here with Mr. John Daly. I met him at a Gaijin festival. It was a certain time, one of my least favorite experiences, but I got to meet some cool people, him included. So finally, we're catching up. A man who is presiding in a part of Japan that shares a name with one of the most famous anime protagonists, that is Saitama from One Punch Man. And he's going to tell you all about how exciting it is to live there and how awesome Japan is. And of course, why he's here. So, Mr. Daly, so great to have you here.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you again. And
Uh,
I'm curious though, you didn't have a good time at that Gaijin Pod event?
Here's the deal. I've been to a lot of events. I've
Mhm.
spoken at events. I've performed comedy at events. For me, there was a couple flaws. Number one, the sponsors were not respected. They did not quiet down the crowd. The sponsors spoke, I think, without a microphone, and if they had one, it was not effective, over groups of people congregating. Sponsors who were looking for donations for charitable causes, sponsors who had spent their money to make that event for us, and no one respected them. And that is not just on the crowd. Obviously, that was us individually, but the event organizers really needed to do a part to respect those sponsors who spent their time and money to set up tables to speak. And that really broke my heart as someone who's looked into sponsoring events or has interacted with sponsors. It's not free to be there. A
Sure.
lot of them
Right,
spend
right.
sometimes several $1,000s, sometimes hundreds of dollars. Some of them were looking for, I believe it was donations to help rebuild an area that had been destroyed. So they weren't respected. The food was good.
The
The
food was
Wagyu steak was good.
fantastic.
I will
Yeah.
say I didn't eat all day. It
Yeah.
was good. I found it to be everyone had the same job. It was not really a networking event. My personal experience, I just got hit on by drunk women who were like, "Oh, you're a foreigner. That's so cool. We love foreign men." I got maybe one or two business connections. Everyone else either just wanted to sleep with me or was a guy who said, "Hey, I wanted to sleep with that woman. I'm not going to do business with you now." And I also had a drunk guy following me around who people didn't want to talk to me because of him saying, "Oh, you Americans are all the same." And I was like, "He's Canadian. He's not even American." So yeah, I just found it to be a certain crowd. The music performance was good, but it was also like a minute,
Yeah.
and then
It
that's
was
an
short.
exaggeration, but it was very short. And they drew the raffles at the very beginning of the event, which I felt was not proper. Not everyone got a chance to put their card
I
in.
see. Okay.
I was the first person there. I got there maybe 15, 20 minutes early. There was no line even, and they didn't even show me the box to put my card in. So I didn't even have a chance to be in a raffle.
Uh,
And then they were calling the raffle numbers. They did not quiet down the room for that either. People were confused. And yeah, it was just for me not a good time comparatively to I've been to a lot of conferences, a lot of events that have done significantly better, 10 times the amount of network connections, more time, more space. That
mhm.
venue was not the right
It was
size at
tiny.
all. It
It
was
was.
not the right size. But really, that how they treated their sponsors and the guy who made this event, and then I guess he sold it off later. He came up to me, went to talk to me, and then completely zoned out and ignored my answer to his question that he asked me. And he's like, "I gotta go," and walked away. So yeah, I personally felt like comparatively it was not good. I had high hopes for it. Spent a pretty good amount of money on the ticket because I found it like a few days beforehand.
Sure.
So I did not get that early bird sale.
Gotcha.
And yeah, and they were picky and choosy about whose stuff they reposted on social media, which mine was not included in
Oh,
that.
okay.
And
I don't even think I follow
yeah,
them on social media.
yeah, I only followed it for the event. They never posted any of the pictures really. They had a professional photographer there, but she didn't do photos. I believe I asked her and she said she only did like a videography thing.
Ah,
And mind you, everyone I emailed from that event just did not follow me or respond or read my message and left it unread. Maybe that's a reflection of me, but I reached out. I said I'd like to make social media content for your business, do an interview, or see other ways I can help you out.
Nothing.
Yeah, comparative to American conferences, the response rate is way higher. So I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I don't know if Japanese companies don't like the term couple of nukes. I think that might have a huge thing to do with it.
Might.
But
A
yeah,
little
I actually
introspection
did.
there.
Yeah, I did stand-up comedy once about I got to the airport for work in Japan and they were like, "What are you here to do?" I said, "Well, a couple of nukes," and I got detained. And yeah, I did stand-up comedy about that once. It
Gotcha.
does cause some confusion.
I can understand that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But what about you? I mean, if you had a good time,
Oh yeah, I actually found the outside seating before most other people did, and I also
see, that was a
found
nice
it was
space.
fantastic. And I found a almost unnoticed table of food. So I
Oh, okay,
was
yeah,
eating and going back constantly, and I just stuffed myself for like the first half of the event
right.
and just sat there and played mobile games on my phone while everybody else got ripped and fought over the food on the inside.
But that right there, see, you enjoyed the time, but I
Mhm.
went there for business
True,
connections,
true,
right? So
true.
playing mobile games and eating food, I
Yeah,
mean, I could do that pretty much anywhere.
true.
So
That's
for
true.
me, my incentive and goal was a little
Right,
different.
right. I was away from my children. I
Right.
got to eat steak.
Yeah, so you had a good
So that
time,
was it.
right?
Yeah.
But did you make, I guess you weren't even looking for business
I mean, I
connections.
was,
Or
but
like in what sense? To get more work or just to meet bilingual people?
yeah, just to network, meet people at different
Yeah.
organizations and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only person I actually met one guy who I'm connected with on LinkedIn. It was my first
Hmm.
time to meet him. He owns a pharmaceutical brand that he
Okay.
started here in
So that's
Japan.
cool.
So that was really cool to meet him. I met another guy who's I think he's a mechanical engineer and he's from France. Nice guy. And I talked to him a little bit socially now. So that's cool. And of course, I met you. So I mean, meeting two or three people that, I
Yeah.
see again and talk to, that's a decent conversion rate
Yeah.
in the
Well,
modern age.
I got invited out, but the individuals who invited me out, it was not it was not the type of connection I
Wasn't what you were
wanted.
going for. Gotcha.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, if I wasn't engaged, then maybe it could have been the best event of my life. But
Gotcha.
no, unfortunately, I went there, and it's something I've experienced before, where a lot of women who are business connections are interested in working with me, and then when they find out through social media later on that I'm engaged, say, "Oh, actually, I changed my mind," blah blah blah. I've seen a switch up, which it just sucks, because I want people to like the business and the mission, not me. It
Hmm.
shouldn't matter whether, oh, he's a handsome single bachelor or he's taken, because it's about the suicide prevention, the addiction recovery, the prevention awareness of domestic violence, sexual violence, human trafficking. It shouldn't just be like, I like Mr. Whiskey, therefore I'm willing to make content with him because maybe it'll bring us closer.
Gotcha.
But
That's
that's the
fair.
unfortunate part is sometimes people like that, this has happened to me where women are like, yes, yes, yes. And then they're like, oh, you're engaged. No, no, no. And if you were only doing it for business reasons, why would it matter if I'm engaged?
Right.
Because they work with plenty of older men who are engaged or men they don't find attractive or women who are married, right? So there's ulterior motives everywhere you go. So that was the event for me. Probably wouldn't go again. I'll just save the 8,000, 10,000 yen and go get the same price, 2 hours,
There.
make your own,
Exactly.
get the
Exactly.
melted cheesy bowl and
There you
stuff.
go.
So yeah.
Fair enough.
But you, sir,
Sorry,
how
sorry.
did you end up in Japan of
Yeah,
all places?
it's been kind of a back and forth. I graduated in the winter of 2011 in the United States. And you may recall that was a time of government fund freezing and no money.
That's
And
like every year now.
well,
Right,
it
yeah.
was really bad then to
Right,
where
yeah.
there were no federal jobs, no state jobs. You couldn't get a job as dog catcher. And I wanted to do federal law enforcement. I
Oh,
studied
okay.
criminal justice. I wanted to get into that.
Thought you were gonna say you wanted to do dog catching.
No, no. I
You
mean,
said no
as
dog catching, and then you said I really wanted. I said,
that
oh,
was my
okay.
backup.
Yeah, yeah,
Backup.
yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't even do my backup. So I didn't know what I was going to do. And I had taken Japanese and studied in Japan. And I was like, well, I can,
In college, you
yes.
took
Mhm.
Japanese
Yep.
as part of your major or like an
So
elective?
it became a major at my school. You had to take 4 semesters of foreign language.
Oh, wow.
And yeah,
Okay.
so that was annoying. But I ended up studying in Japan. And then they were like, hey, if you stay one more semester, you can get a major in this. And I said, okay, why
So
not?
you graduated in America,
Mhm.
but you went to school in Japan?
I did 1 year abroad.
Okay, which
Yeah.
year was that, by the way? Senior
Um,
year or your junior, sophomore?
Kind of difficult. So backing up even further, I actually had a Navy scholarship, like an ROTC
Oh, wow.
scholarship, and they yanked it from me like 3 weeks before I was supposed to start at an out-of-state big school
Mm,
due to me getting allergy shots that I disclosed, over a year ago when I started the application
mm.
process and at every medical checkup and,
Right, right.
everything. So, yeah, I went to community college for a year and it was kind of a bummer because I was registering like 3 weeks before courses started. So all the
Right.
good stuff's gone, right? Everything's full.
Yeah.
So my folks thought if I didn't have some sort of structure, I'd, run off the rails, which they
Mm.
maybe. But I mean, I took a whole hodgepodge of whatever was open. And so it was kind of like my junior year, but I had already had like 1 year that was just kind of a throwaway at community
Interesting.
college. Yeah.
So with the whole Navy thing,
Hmm.
obviously you mentioned you disclosed them ahead of time and
Hmm.
stuff, and then they were suddenly saying, "Oh wow, look at this. You can't have these.
Yeah.
Like you can't be sent overseas because of them, or you're
I
non-deployable
I
kind
have
of
no
thing."
idea. I got a letter in the mail from Pensacola, and it wasn't like a
Good
packet
old
or anything.
Pensacola.
Yeah, just a letter envelope,
Right,
and just sorry, bro, you're out of luck. Admiral Butthole.
right.
So
Sounds about right.
yep. So if I called Admiral Butthole and
Right.
said what gives, and he gave me some platitudes, and then my mother snatched the phone away
Mm.
and chewed out Admiral Butthole. And
Right. Well, they just wasted this whole year of your
right,
life that
exactly.
you were
And
preparing for
more,
this.
right? I mean,
And it's not like this, as you mentioned, if you disclosed it a year in advance, it's like, well, why did
exactly.
wait? And they might say, well, you know what? Someone didn't catch it until the
Sure.
final check through and stuff. And it's like, okay, so where's the responsibility and accountability for every chain of command that reviewed this for the past
Right.
year, which was more than one?
Right, of course.
Had you done like MEPS and stuff, or I don't know
No.
how that works if
I,
you're doing college side
so no,
though.
no, no. I did go to two different medical checkups. Had
Okay.
to do the old bend over and spread them and everything.
Right, right.
That was exciting.
Mine was more exciting, I can guarantee you.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that was a big
Not in a
bummer.
weird way. Wait, I gotta clarify that.
Okay.
So I was at MEPS and they do they check you down there
Hmm.
and I remember the guy was like turn around or whatever. Well, so here's the deal. We were in line
Hmm.
and they were going every other one with two doctors.
I see.
And one of them was this older Jewish guy, and he had really big knuckles. And the other was a young Asian man with very smooth, small fingers. So we were joking, you want one, not the other, if they're gonna, put the fingers in,
Yes.
which they don't, by the way. They're not
No,
actually
they're
gonna
just looking for
do the
hemorrhoids.
prostate, right?
Yeah.
But we all thought it was a prostate exam. We thought they were doing, and I didn't know because I didn't know. So
Sure.
people were telling me it's a prostate exam. They're gonna put their fingers in there. So the doctor told me like turn around or whatever and whatever. And then I just stood there. And then he was just like, "What are you waiting for?" And I was like, "For you to spread me." And he was like, "What? No, you do that yourself. I don't do that." One of the most awkward moments in my life because I said, "Okay, well, it was my understanding that I was going in here. You put the gloves on and then that you were gonna look around." And he goes, "No, you hold it open and then I'll look around."
Yeah.
This was such a weird conversation to have,
He's not giving you the
like
fist of fury.
I
Yeah.
know, I got the big knuckle guy too, so I was
Yes.
extra nervous. It was closed. You could not see anything. It was iron shut. I was nervous, and it was so awkward to have to tell another man like I'm waiting for you to spread me.
Oh, well, mine was
Medically,
my
and he
my
was just. He was so caught off guard. He was kind of appalled.
I can
Like,
see
why are
that.
you disgusted? Like, your job is looking at probably the 100th one you've seen today.
At least.
And hopefully it was the best looking one.
Yeah. I mean, there you go.
I doubt it, but I saw some of the other people, not there, but I saw them and I said, sure, I'd look
They,
better down there than them, but
see, I had the gorgeous model-esque black
mm,
woman doctor. Yeah,
oh.
so that was
So you
exciting.
did enjoy yours.
Uh, Also awkward though because
Did
she's
you
like,
tell her she had to spread you?
no, I should
Oh,
have, but she was very clear and she's like, okay, I need you to pull your pants down, turn
right.
around, bend over, and spread your cheeks. And I
Mhm.
was like, excuse me, normally I make people pay for that, but she's like, we're checking you for hemorrhoids, and I was like, oh,
Oh,
okay, makes sense now.
right.
So, but anyway,
Because I always lie about my hemorrhoids when I go into an organization.
gotcha. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they don't like you having those, you know. No,
Yeah. They're
no.
itching or burning. It
Right,
can be a
exactly.
distraction.
Exactly. Yep. And then, you spread them to
Yeah.
other things.
But they're not as bad as apparently allergy shots. What do you mean?
Oh, I was getting weekly allergy shots because my allergies were so bad. And then I was
like
so
pre-pollen kind of stuff
everything,
or oh,
everything. Since I was in like second or third grade, it was crazy.
okay. I guess the fear is you're non-deployable in the sense that if you need any medicine
Right.
routinely,
Hmm.
what are they going to do? Send you on an aircraft carrier
Right.
with like 500 allergy shots?
Exactly.
So I understand that
Which I
point.
get it, but
Yeah.
like I said, I've
They
been
knew about
very
it for a
open
little
about
bit.
the situation. Yeah. But so anyway, I quit doing them. I was just like, if I die, I die, whatever. I don't want to take these anymore. And I was fine, which is insane that I'd been on these shot,
Right.
2 shots a week for 10 years.
But it
And
was too late at that point
right,
to
because you have to
try
be
to
off
do
it for a year or whatever. And, Lieutenant Butthole called me back the next semester and was like, hey, we can get this back for you. And I was just like, because I didn't want to do
right.
that anymore.
Why work for an organization that already screwed me over?
Right, exactly.
Wait till I'm in.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. You expect them to
Right.
hose you when you're in the Navy, not before you even get in. So
Right. I thought you wanted me. I thought you had a bonus if you got me.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. But
Yeah.
so that didn't work out, and I did the Japan thing, and I ended up teaching in Japan for a couple of years
After you
after I
graduated.
graduated.
So 2011, economic crisis. So
Sure.
you say to yourself, I'm going to move to Japan.
Yes. So 2012, moved to
Their
Japan.
government's open.
Yeah. Well, and I was working for a dispatch company where they hire teachers and then they send you to various schools in Japan.
Mhm.
So I was in the middle of nowhere in
Right.
Ibaraki. This is, 2012, so the iPhone's new,
Mm.
and they give you a map.
Oh,
And
like a
they
fake,
a
the
paper
paper
map
map. Right.
with
In
little,
kanji.
yeah, yeah, all in Japanese with little stars where your schools are. And you have to, and a little circle around where your apartment is. And you had to find them. And so I'm driving around Japan in a little K car and
Right.
finding my schools. And eventually, about a month and a half in, the sixth grade classroom had like full on riot. They ripped a kid's stuff up, threw it out the third story window.
That you were
Fl-
teaching.
I had shown up to start teaching and was waiting my turn, and
Mm.
that's when it kicked off. And I mean, kids were fighting, slapping at each other, throwing scissors and compasses,
Really?
this kind of compass with the point on it.
But the Japanese are so polite and well behaved.
Yeah, that's
Right.
more fake news.
Right.
There's, they're humans too,
Yeah.
and
Just like any kids in any school.
yes,
Yeah.
and it was really crazy. Teachers were ripping kids apart, not like ripping kids
Yeah,
apart
yeah.
like, a vampire, but like pulling kids off of each other, and yeah, it
Oh
was
wow.
it was
Like actually
crazy.
had to
Well,
physically
yeah,
intervene.
absolutely. Like kids were getting beat up, and
What?
it was insane. And
I get it. I mean, they were so upset about the American economy collapsing
yeah,
that they must have just
yeah,
they were worried about their futures.
yeah, no more. They weren't sure if that next season of Bugs Bunny was getting translated, but they the school people and the dispatch company that I worked for came to me and they were like, the
Right.
Board of Education is going to come and ask you about this. We need you to say that you didn't see what happened. And I was like, oh, you want me to lie to government officials? Yeah, that's going to
Like my
happen.
first day at the
Right.
job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's not going to happen. And at this school too, they had kids throwing rocks at the windows and
Wow.
keying teachers' cars and stuff.
What?
It was insane. It
In
was
sixth
insane.
grade?
Yeah. Well, this wasn't just the sixth graders that were doing that. These kids were wild.
Mm.
So I quit that a few months in, and then I started working at an English conversation school. That's where I met my wife. She was working there as like a receptionist, basically.
Right.
And we ended up getting engaged and all.
You said mark in the calendar this appointment, you and me next Sunday.
Yeah. So that worked out and, did some other jobs, ended up going back to school, got into IT. And I was working at a big energy company in the US.
Mm.
And my coworker buddy was sitting next to me. And he was like, hey, John, I found this job at Microsoft that you need to know networking and security and speak Japanese. You do those things. And I was like, oh, yeah, Microsoft, right. Because I've been out of school for like, my technical school,
Right, right.
2 year degree in IT. Microsoft's going to hire me with no experience and my elementary school level Japanese, right? Sure enough, they did. And I worked there for 5.5 years, talking
Wow.
to people on the phone in Japanese and big company, big important stuff. Like the government's coronavirus website went down
Oh,
and it
wow.
was on our infrastructure and we had to help fix it. 7-Eleven, a bunch of their stuff was in Azure. Yamato Transport, like anytime they beep a package, that was in the
Mm.
cloud. That was us.
So all
So
these companies were connected to Microsoft
yeah,
through
they
their
were using
digital
their cloud
software.
computing,
Okay.
and I was supporting that. So when stuff would break, it's like,
Right.
I'm fixing something big, and I have
Yeah.
heavy hitters on the phone that are
Mm.
spending millions of dollars to do this
Right.
stuff. So I
And
mean,
they want it back
they
now.
do. They want it back yesterday.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
so I'd been speaking Japanese and got approached on LinkedIn by a manager at the company I work at now. And he was like, "Hey, would you be interested in this job? We'd pay to move your family to Japan." And I was like, "Well, my kids are at this time 3
Wait,
and
so
2.
you went back to
Yeah,
America
we
for the
were in,
Microsoft
yes.
job,
So I was
but you
doing,
were working with companies in Japan.
yes. So I was doing night support. So of course the
Oh,
East
okay.
Coast time difference is almost
Right.
perfect,
Because it was daytime here and nighttime there.
vice versa, because we're
Oh,
here.
okay.
So
Wait. So
daytime in America, nighttime in Japan. Right.
oh, you were overnight IT basically for
For Japan,
Japan,
yes.
which was your
It
daytime,
was my
which is
daytime.
perfect. Yes.
Exactly, exactly.
So you brought your wife back with you to America then?
Yeah, she was small.
Oh,
She fit in
okay.
the carry-on. No, we we were separated for a while. We had to do a long distance thing. She took a
Yeah,
contract job and she didn't want to leave early. It
I was
was
gonna say
yeah,
it's a lot of contracts here in Japan.
and it was awful. And I was
No, I
living
get
here with
that.
her, and I was like, look, this isn't gonna work. If you want to stay at this job, I'm leaving. Like,
And you were already married.
yes, and
So how soon did you get married after you met her?
a few years. We were well,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we dated for a year and change, maybe 2 years, and then got engaged, and we got married in 2015, early 2015. So I mean, it was like 3 years from meeting to getting married.
How soon after marriage did you have to go to the US?
So
Yeah.
we got engaged when she came to visit me
In the
in the
US.
US.
Also, were y'all talking online during that 3 year period?
Yes. So there was some separation. Like we dated from 2012 to 2014. Then I moved back to
Here
the
in Japan.
US.
Yeah.
Yes. Because my visa was done and I didn't want to
Oh,
work at
okay.
that conversation school anymore. I didn't
Right,
want
right,
to
right.
teach English anymore. And I moved back and we just kind of left it open. She came and visited me like a few months later.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah, I want to marry her. And so we got
Hmm.
engaged. And then like 6 months later, I went and visited her and we got married at City Hall in Japan. And
Okay.
then like 4 or 5 months later, I moved back to Japan. And then
Mm.
we were here for 9 months.
Mm.
And that was when she had the horrible job. And I got a job close to my family in Charlotte. And I moved back. And then she came like 5 months later.
So it's been a lot of back
Oh,
and
yeah,
forth, like you
absolutely.
said. It's been a lot then. And I'm still laughing about they gave you a map. It was like it looks like an anime. That time I got reincarnated as a school teacher in Japan and I had to hunt down and track all the schools I'm teaching at.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, it's
And
like
they were spread out in the middle of
yeah.
nowhere. So I accidentally made a wrong turn and I was driving through this like elevated road through a rice field.
Right.
And at the end of it was the entrance to the freeway. And I
That
was
sounds
like,
about
that's
right.
not where I want to go. And I
Yeah.
had to do a 3-point turn, and my rear wheels fell off the road, and I pulled them back up with the front wheel drive car. So it was good.
People don't realize because all the tourists, they look on social media, it's always Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka.
Hmm.
I took a train all the way out to Hikone, Kobe, Awaji Island.
Hmm.
So you could be in the middle of nowhere.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
there is a lot of farmland, there's a
Yeah.
lot of rural areas that I was like, man, if I got stranded here, and it looks small because you're like, oh, it only took me 2 hours on a train to cross half the country. And I looked to walk was like 19
Yeah.
days, like you could be lost for sure.
Well,
And where, when you first came to Japan for
mhm,
the abroad school study,
mhm.
what part of Japan were you
I
in?
was in Tokyo.
So that was in Tokyo.
Hmm.
But when you came back to teach, it was what, like,
It
when you
was
say
in
middle of nowhere, like West Japan,
No, no, no.
Northeast,
It was
or
in Kanto, but it was in Ibaraki.
okay.
So middle of nowhere,
Never even heard of
Ibaraki.
it. So,
Well, yeah, it's like a couple of prefectures up.
okay. Of
So
to of Tokyo, like Northwest,
northeast.
Northeast.
Yep.
Okay. So going out
So
towards
yeah, like
Hokkaido.
Tokyo's
Yeah.
here, Chiba's here, Saitama's here,
Mm-hmm.
Ibaraki's
Oh,
here.
okay.
That's
Up over
Kyoto.
Chiba. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
So
Oh, kind of middle-ish of the country.
yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
yeah,
so,
it's.
yeah.
I mean, you can get from Akihabara, Tokyo to Tsukuba, Ibaraki in 45 minutes on an express train.
Oh, yeah,
So yeah,
that's
it's
not
not
bad at all.
far
Yeah.
at all.
Sorry, I thought you were like
But
in
it's
the
okay.
middle of this field.
Well, and
You made it sound like it was so abandoned.
Well,
And
and it
it
was because
is.
you
Yeah.
think about it, it's something like I don't have the exact numbers, 90% of the country's population lives in
Right.
like 5 cities here.
Yeah.
So like, I
Yeah.
mean, once you go outside of Tokyo and the
It gets
suburbs,
sparse
it
fast.
does.
Well, even right here in Yokosuka, like as soon as you're away from Yokosuka, like it's all residential
Mhm.
and it gets smaller and smaller and more
Yep.
spread
I
out.
mean, driving here to
Yeah.
come here, I was driving through the woods.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
surrounded by trees, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Oh wow, you don't see this very often."
Very mountainous
Yeah.
over this area.
So
There's actually a mountain right over here. You can overlook the whole city and the
nice.
ocean and the islands. It's pretty nice.
That's cool.
You can look across and see Tokyo Bay.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes I catch the silhouette of Godzilla quickly before it
Before he
disappears.
goes back
But
under.
yeah, well, actually, his first footstep is down the street here.
Okay.
It's about on 1 hour if you run the 5K pace I run, which not everyone does. But if you run down this way about an hour, they have his footprint because he was first sighted over here.
Okay.
Yeah, there's actually a statue of him over here. When you're coming around the mountains and the trees, you suddenly see his head emerges because Yokosuka Bay, over this area is where he first appeared in
I
1954
see.
before going to other places. So they have all
Gotcha.
kinds of dedications to him here. The footprint, the Godzilla slide. Me and my friend got stuck in it because it's for kids, and our shoulders got stuck. How could I not do the Godzilla
That's
slide?
fair. That's
And
fair.
in my defense, I thought it was going to be like 100 feet tall, and then it was like maybe 20 feet tall. And we went to go in it, and our shoulders were stuck. I'm like, come on, we got to do it. It was like it's not doing justice. But
Yeah.
Godzilla 1954 was smaller than
That's true.
he's
People
gotten
underestimate.
bigger and bigger and
Right.
bigger
That's
over
right.
time.
That's right.
And to all the Japanese kids, I mean, it's probably, it towers over you.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, when you're
yeah.
little. Yeah.
But I'm not a 2-year-old Japanese boy.
That's
So,
true.
on the inside, I am. Sometimes,
Apparently. Apparently.
sometimes I feel like one on the inside. But yeah, so you came back and forth, which just to unpack a little bit about mental health and
Mhm.
relationships, that's a huge strain.
Oh yeah.
I've done distance before. I hate it. It's not natural.
It's a
You
bummer.
know, God didn't say Adam and Eve, you two go in these two different gardens, write letters each day. He said right here, right
Yeah.
next to each other. It's unnatural.
Yeah.
So were there any lessons that you feel like were really valuable or just breaking points that you wish people could avoid? Or sometimes it's hard. Sometimes jobs do call you apart.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think as long as you're committed to the person and to the
Yeah.
relationship, and you know that the future's worth the struggle, then it's not that bad. I
Yeah.
mean, now that you look back on it, right, you kind of have the rose-colored glasses on, and
Right.
you don't remember how much of a bummer it was
Felt
while
like
you
a
were
few
in it.
days
Right, exactly.
after. Yeah.
But while you're in the thick of it, it was probably a lot worse. But the human brain likes to cover
Mm.
that up as best it can. So,
What about, so an important part of that is communication.
mhm.
Now, you had a bit of a cross-cultural, cross-language communication barrier to some degrees.
Mhm.
It sounds like, did she speak English? It sounds like.
Decently.
Yeah, so did that play any role in maybe increased misunderstandings? Or culturally, was she a bit Americanized or was she very traditional Japanese? And did that play any roles, especially with her family?
Sure. So I was actually interested. I was kind of, I don't know, worried, but apprehensive about meeting her family.
Yeah.
But her mom absolutely loves me. I get along fine with her dad.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, when
cool.
my parents came and visited, they got along fine with them. But yeah, we've definitely had language-based misunderstandings. Humor in Japan and the US is very different.
Oh, yeah.
They don't like sarcasm.
We're
They
gonna
don't
find
like
out tonight.
Yeah, they don't like dark jokes. I'll
Mm.
tell my wife, like, yeah, you might be in trouble.
Yeah, I got
Like,
my comedy show
yeah,
tonight,
yeah,
but
comedy show, you're probably
yeah,
okay.
it's a little
But,
different.
I'll make a joke about something, and my wife's like, I'm having a serious conversation with you. And I'm like, sorry, yeah, my bad.
All
And
right,
so
all
even
right.
now, we've been together since 2013, and I'm still stepping in it, 13
Mm,
years
mm.
later. So it's like, what are you going to do? I mean, that's marriage, right? Especially when you have, different cultures and everything. But, we have 2 kids, and we're pretty aligned on values and what we want our children to learn and who we want them to
Right.
be. And, there's always going to be a little bit of cultural drift and disagreement about
Mm,
how to raise the children and how to react to
yeah.
certain things and all of that, especially since I would say Japanese mothers tend to be, I don't want to say more enabling. There's a good word I'm
Oh,
looking for, but I
I
can't.
was gonna say the opposite. I assumed it might be a bit harsher. Or you think they're
Oh,
softer parenting?
they're very soft with little kids. At least they let them get away with everything.
Mm,
Not it's a
right,
generalization, right?
right.
And everybody's different to an extent. But I see mothers who let their kids hit them and yeah,
Wow.
go crazy and scream and fuss and
Yeah.
they put up with a lot of nonsense from their kids.
Well, I can give an analogy. My mom was a dog breeder and trainer.
Hmm.
And a lot of people, if they have a small dog, they let it do whatever it wants because it's like, who cares? It's a small dog.
Hmm.
But when they have a big attack dog or working dog, it's like, hey, you make sure that you're the alpha, that you're leading. Never let them walk in front of you.
Hmm.
But a lot of people would say, well, my small dog, they can walk wherever they want. I'll
Hmm.
just pull them back because they're small. But it's about the mentality of it.
Right.
It's not like, hey, just because they're small, it doesn't have consequences.
Right.
It's about the long-term
Hmm.
impact of what they think they can and can't do. And I
Right.
think if you let your children get away with everything when they're kids, they're going to treat you the same way when they're older. And then
Exactly.
you're going to be like, well, you're older now, it's not okay. But it's always been okay. So why is it suddenly not okay?
Right. And that's hard to, it's hard to break something once it's
Yeah.
ingrained like
And
that.
are
So,
you with your children? Obviously, they're biracial.
mhm.
Are you raising them bilingual as well?
Trying to. They were doing mostly English in the US. Now they go to a full Japanese school. They don't
Hmm.
speak any English there. So they've been picking it
Yeah.
up very fast.
But they're very young. They're like,
At 4 and 2.
yeah.
So
So,
they're little sponges. So they'll be okay.
yeah.
And we speak English at home. It was kind of funny. My son was FaceTiming my mom the other day, and he just randomly started speaking Japanese to her. And I'm like, buddy, grandma doesn't speak Japanese.
Right,
You got to
right,
use English with grandma. And he kind of had to like go like
right,
chick
right.
chick chick chick. Oh,
Yeah.
so
But I think it's such a blessing to be born and raised bilingual rather
mhm,
than, college age or later on in life
right.
trying to learn another language, especially one where the alphabet's completely different.
Hmm.
And I think, what about identity though? So are they American, Japanese, Japanese American? Like, what are you and your wife planning? Because do you intend to stay here? Is that the plan?
We kind of don't know with the way things are going with the government and the way that they're reacting to long-term foreign residents in Japan.
Mm,
When we came over here, I'm on one of those newfangled, highly skilled professional visas. I
right.
could get a spouse visa, but
Mm,
the highly skilled professional allows you to file for permanent residency after 1 year.
mm.
But they just put in new
Yeah, they're changing
regulations, right,
everything.
that makes it very hard to get permanent
Yeah.
residency
And more expensive
and much more
and
expensive.
everything. But
So
there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the US
there
too.
is.
So,
But I mean, it was like I kind of got sold a false bill of goods
mm,
because it was like, oh, I can come here, qualify for permanent residency. It'll be a
right.
great deal. We can stay 5 years, kind of think about it. But like the time for Tokyo right now, luckily I don't live in Tokyo,
Mm.
but permanent residency processing in Tokyo right now is about a year and a half from
Mm.
application.
So it's kind of like the Japanese government said, hey, you can come over here with allergy shots. And they're like, whoa, you have allergy
Yeah,
shots? You can't be here.
exactly, exactly.
This keeps happening to
Yeah,
me. Yeah.
yeah, I'm noticing a trend. So we'll see. The kids
Mm.
right now, they're kind of too young to
Right, to
know about
understand
like
that
the
though.
identity
Yeah.
type thing. But yeah, it'll definitely be a thing. And I don't know. I don't know what you do about
Do,
that.
do they
So
look do they look foreign or white in a
that's
way that you
racist.
think?
No, actually, and a quick anecdote on that. People used to say without thinking, they'd say, "Wow, your son looks just like you, but he has his mother's eyes." And I
Mm.
could drop the best, that's racist. And
Right,
then,
right.
they'd realize what they said, and it was absolutely
Yeah.
hilarious. But
Well, I mean it in the sense that will they be bullied or, outcasted based off appearance? Because I've talked to some people here,
mhm,
women and men who look white,
mhm,
but they're biracial.
yeah,
They speak fluent Japanese. They lived here their whole life, and they get the treatment of, oh, you speak such good Japanese.
oh
Or
yeah,
really, you're Japanese? No. And there's it's a struggle for them to fit in,
yeah.
when
And
they,
it will be. I think it was like a Netflix movie called Half, which is like it
okay.
explores that
Yeah.
dynamic of being
Which I was saying,
half
it's just
Japanese.
if you happen to look fully Japanese and speak and talk Japanese and then mention that, oh yeah, I'm part white, it's easier than if you look white and
Right,
are Japanese, if that
right.
makes sense.
No, you're
Yeah.
you're you're on point. My son has incredibly curly light brown hair and he looks just like me, but has like Asian style
Right.
eyes. And so, like, if he puts on sunglasses, he looks just like me.
Okay.
His skin is slightly like tinted, I'd say. Like, if I'm
Mm.
white, he's tinted towards Asian,
Right.
but he doesn't have like a full Asian complexion and like
Right.
melanin situation in his skin.
It's gonna be a cool situation
It'll be
where
interesting to
people
see.
don't believe he's Asian and he just like takes off the
Yeah,
glasses and you're like, oh,
yeah.
oh,
He wasn't
woman
lying. Yeah,
aside,
he
you
was not lying.
are. You're one of us.
Yeah, and my
It's like Cyclops and X-Men. He's like, gotta take off the
yeah,
visor for full power.
exactly. My daughter is very Japanese coded, but
Mm.
she also has curly brown hair.
Mm.
So that'll be interesting to see.
Surprised the curly brown hair took over so
Yeah,
much.
that's you
Yeah, because
normally
I thought,
you get a
I
little
assume
bit
your
dark.
wife has black hair?
She does, yeah.
Yeah, so
And
usually that takes
but
over.
she has curlier hair too. So like
Oh,
I have
okay.
curly
Yeah,
hair, she
so,
has curly. So, but yeah, they both got my hair. So that was interesting. But we'll see. We'll see what they look
yeah,
like. I mean, little kids and then their adult versions can
yeah.
look really different. So
Well, if they get your height,
yeah.
they'll be.
Well, I mean, I'm not that tall, but my dad is 6 foot and change. My brother's 6 foot and change. My sister's
Yeah.
6 foot and
A
change.
lot of times
So
it jumps a generation
yeah.
too.
So hopefully they get some ups. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, we know that it'll be a thing. A lot will depend on, where we end up having them grow up.
What
And
keeps you so anchored and calm among all this uncertainty? And it feels like there's a lot of
yeah,
uncertainty in your life to a degree. What keeps you so anchored and calm through all of it?
I mean, you can't worry about things you can't control, right?
Mm,
So I
mm.
mean, I'll cry drugs. That's the other way. No, no, I'm not at that bridge yet. Why should I
Right.
worry about crossing that bridge when
Mm,
I'm not even at it? I might be borrowing trouble, just worry about that when it happens
right.
and, you know, try and prepare myself and my family as best we can and we'll work it out. So my wife and I went through a lot together. We're still here, we're still together, and
Yeah.
hopefully that'll stay true with the family, just
Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah. So that being said, let's take a little bit of a look at what have you really enjoyed about living in Japan, and then we'll get into what you don't enjoy.
sure.
Well, let's do not enjoy first, and then
Okay.
end on a more positive note.
Okay,
I think
that's
that would be
fair.
better.
That's
Yeah.
fair. It's
Like I
really
hate it here,
it's
actually.
it's really hot here in the summer as
Yeah.
you're experiencing.
Yeah. Did
Uh,
not realize that. Like I said, I came here in the March 2 years in a row, and it was actually cold. I didn't realize how cold it got.
mhm.
Then this year I was here and it was cold. Then it just rained every
Yeah.
day for like a month straight.
Yep.
And then it was just sweltering hot.
Right.
There was like no spring. Like, does
Yes.
Japan not have a
That's
spring?
that's the
It was
right.
like a week long.
That's the
There was
right.
like 1 week
Yeah.
where I was in, short sleeves, pants. I was walking around. I'm like, it's so beautiful out. And then it was just raining every
You
day.
better be
And then the
careful.
mosquitoes got so bad.
You better be careful. Japan loves their 4 seasons. That's like one of their cliches that they will tell you is that Japan has 4 seasons. But yeah,
Yeah. They're
so
not the same 4 seasons that I'm used to then.
the heat is bad, and especially for folks who've never lived here, when you're in the US, you go out of your house
Mm,
and it's air conditioned with central air, and you get in your
yeah,
car and you turn the air conditioner on and
right.
you drive to wherever you're going and you get out and walk 30 seconds into the building
Yeah.
and you go from air conditioning to air conditioner to air
Mm.
conditioner,
A
right?
lot of walking here
Right,
in the
exactly.
sun.
You're walking in the sun. It's very humid.
Mm.
It's 100 degrees outside almost every day.
And the
And
train stations are open
they're
because
wide
the
open.
train comes in and out.
Hmm.
So you'll be begging for a train to come by to get the breeze.
Right.
That's how I cool down in the station. The
Yeah,
train comes by.
exactly.
But it's humid in
Yeah,
there. It's hot in there. It's a
it's
bunch of people breathing on you.
it's sweaty.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's a bummer. Luckily my office has showers, so I actually shower after I get to work because
Oh, that's so awful.
yeah,
That's so awful.
because
You
I'm
gotta,
just so disgusting by the
right,
time I
right.
get there. So that's tough. Government is highly involved in a lot more things here than in the US.
Mm,
For example, daycare.
really?
Almost all the daycares are like federally run, right? At
Mm,
the
mm.
level of the city, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because Japan has one big government, right? It's not like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
US where we have separate states that roll up to the
Right.
feds. The Japanese have everything's the same in every prefecture to a large, large extent. And then, it's administered at different levels. But the city has all the control of who gets to go to
Mm.
what daycare. And it's based on
What,
points.
like social credit kind of thing? Or what do you mean
Yes
points?
and no. So, like, if you're a single parent,
Hmm.
you get like 90 points automatically.
Mm.
If you're a married couple with one spouse not working, you get 5 points.
Oh,
So, like,
basically it's saying like what's the reality of how much do you really need this? Or
right,
like who needs it more?
right. The problem, though, is it's subsidized by taxes. So the government choosing who needs stuff more when everybody's paying for it is problematic in my worldview.
Right. So you and your wife technically, if you're both working, pay more for the daycare than the
Hmm.
single parent who's not.
Right.
And is it kind of a situation where the single parent is getting a nicer daycare than you?
No, not necessarily.
Oh, okay, okay.
But
I was gonna say that would be really
right.
messed up.
But it's just, again, in my
Hmm.
opinion, the government deciding who gets what with everybody's money is not the way it should be done. And
Right.
so I was very surprised to hear that was the situation. And my wife stressed out about it really hard. And
Mm.
luckily, our kids got to go to the same school and it worked out. It's not too far from our house. But I mean,
It,
you can get told, no, your kids can't go to daycare. There's no daycare for your kids.
under the incentive that like, hey, there's so many people who need it more than you, and
Right,
we only have room for XYZ
right,
spots.
exactly.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that is a situation like who gets to determine that?
Right.
But I also understand if you have a spouse who's home not working,
Hmm.
why can't they watch the kid?
Sure.
So I can understand that
Right.
if a single parent is working and they have no one to watch.
Hmm.
But again, like, why
Well,
should the government be in charge of my personal family
right.
matters? You know,
And
there could be
why?
other incentives for me sending the kid to daycare. Maybe
Why
it's to
am
socialize, or
right?
maybe it's whatever.
There you go. And why am I subsidizing someone else's poor life decisions?
Right. I'm
Right?
basically you're
Like
paying for it.
I'm not trying to hate on anybody. Like there's
Yeah, stuff happens.
stuff
Yeah.
happens exactly, but I mean, generally, if you wind up a single parent, you didn't do everything right, right? You married
Mm,
the wrong person. You
mm,
you made some bad decisions. I mean,
right.
yes, it happens. Your spouse gets hit and killed by a bus or something, right?
Yeah.
That's tragic. You should go to the top of the line. But, you had a no-fault divorce with your spouse, or you married some scumbag who beat you and ran off,
Hmm.
why do I have to pay for that? And I know that sounds callous, but I have a decent salary. I pay a lot of money in taxes, and I get
Right.
told that I have to pay for somebody else's kid to go to daycare, and my kids can't go.
Right, because it's not just about the you're paying for it, but you're suffering the consequences possibly of your kids not going to
Right,
daycare because of their
exactly.
choices. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's weird that the government is involved with that.
And there's
And there's
other things like that as well
yeah,
here.
and then it's
So,
like typically daycares are private institutions in the U.S., I
mhm.
assume. So,
Yep,
but you can't have that here, I
they
guess,
do
or they
have
do.
them, but they're expensive. So that's
Mm.
the other thing. We
But
pay
then
more
you're
for
paying
daycare.
twice because you're
Yes,
paying for the public daycares
exactly.
and then you're paying for the private
Yep, your
daycare.
taxes subsidize it, and then
Hmm.
we also have to pay for daycare, but it's based on our income. So we pay more for daycare than people who make less money than us. Like they have more subsidy
Wow.
coming in from the government,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
That's crazy.
it is, and I mean, I know that's like a thing that we just say, like that's crazy to
Yeah.
mean like that's different than what I'm used to. So I
Yeah.
mean, I know you're not saying it's insane,
Yeah.
but just for the viewers out there, no one thinks that they're insane here or anything. It's just different, right? And it's difficult for us to wrap our brains around as viewers.
And there's moral conflictions involved with it and then money conflictions.
Hmm.
And I don't know, it sounds like a bit of an overstep, you know?
Yeah. One, you have to remember too, Japan is extremely ethnically and socially homogenous. And, no
Right.
conflict, help the society out as a whole.
Right.
And that's how they do it here. I can whine about it and not like it,
Right. Right.
but I mean, I chose to come here. I got to play by their rules in
Yeah.
their
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sandbox, and I'm not trying to be a crybaby about it. It's just that was something that shocked me. And, you know, generally, I don't like when the government's telling me what happens with my money and they give it to other people, right? So
Yeah.
that was just something that
Yeah.
stood out to me that I
Well,
didn't like.
and it's a problem in the US too. There's a lot of people on welfare or other government aid that don't need it or that misspend it.
Right, they take advantage of it. Yeah.
My dad was a police officer for 25 years, and he said it's interesting because he would go to all these homes on different criminal calls that were homes that were on welfare or food stamps, and they would complain, we don't have any food or money. And he said every single time they said that, they had stacks and stacks of cases of soda. They had all this junk food. They're saying our kids are malnourished, they have no food to eat. And they would always be overweight people with stacks of junk food and stuff saying, we don't have any money to eat. We need more welfare. We need more food stamps. So there's a lot of abuse of those systems.
Hmm.
So America has the government telling you where your money goes, and we
Hmm.
see our government send our money to other
Yep.
countries more than our own people.
Hmm.
We see rebuilding other countries more than some of our own states destroyed by natural disasters,
Okay.
or depending what you believe, by our own government sometimes,
Yeah, yeah.
And there's so many issues in America that are not being addressed financially, and then the money's going elsewhere. So
Hmm.
it's just any institution, any country or place that has an institution in charge of your money, there's going to be points where we don't agree with it
Right,
for
right.
sure.
Hmm.
I'd rather have a daycare system that seems a bit unfair than all these people who are just staying home doing nothing, getting paid to eat all my
Yeah,
food, and
that's true.
they're complaining they don't have food, but they've got cookies and soda galore. But yeah, that is something.
Yeah, it was just
And
shocking
yeah,
that I'd never experienced.
yeah. What else?
I'm not a huge train fan.
Really?
I don't mind it, but I mean, I like, we were talking about, I
Yeah,
like my car. I like driving. I like having the freedom of movement and,
right.
driving a fun car. So it's better now that I'm more used to it. But, and in Tokyo, you could never have all the cars. I mean, there's a bajillion people there. There's
Right.
just not space. I mean, and
Yeah.
everybody's, going to come and scream about walkable cities. And, I get it. I get it that public transport is way more efficient and it's more safe. And I
Right.
agree with all that. I don't doubt that. I'm just saying
I
I
like to
miss having
drive a
my
car.
car. I like my
Yeah.
car. And I had a great situation when I commuted to work because it was a nice, easy drive with like four turns. And my work had a nice parking garage with plenty of
Mm.
spots that I
Mm.
didn't have to pay for. And it was nice. Like,
Right.
so,
And it's on your own
right,
timetable. With
exactly.
the trains, I mean, it's not bad. They're pretty frequent,
Right, right,
but you still have to respond to someone else's timetable.
right.
And if there's any, like I was once the other night, it was raining and the train was delayed 45 minutes.
Hmm.
Where I was just sitting in a station waiting, getting home super late now. It's like 1:30 in the morning. If I was driving, I would have drove in the rain.
Right, exactly.
If people want to pull to the side and say it's raining too heavy, that's their
Right,
choice.
exactly.
I've got my car has a raining mode.
There you go. Yep,
Nowadays you got the raining
yep.
mode, you got let's
That's why I
go.
have all-wheel drive,
Yeah,
for stuff like
yeah,
that. And then, I mean, yes, just I'm trying to think of like things that are personal to me. Like, I don't want to just
yeah,
hate on Japanese society
yeah.
or anything like that because I chose to be here and they
Well,
have
and I think that's
abundance
a good
and
mindset to have because a lot of people complain, and the number one response is, "Well, you didn't have to be here.
right,
Like
yeah,
you chose to come here.
yeah,
Yeah, go on."
exactly. And that's what I tell the
Which is
people.
interesting because like all the Americans who hate America
Mhm.
will complain about all of it. People will say, then why don't you go live somewhere else? Well, no, 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 no.
Right, right. Well, and that's what I would tell any foreigner who comes to America and cries about stuff in America.
Yeah,
You can go back to wherever you came from if
yeah,
it's so much better there.
right,
I don't want to live in your country. I want to live in my country
right.
and do things America way when I live in America.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to do them our way, there's the door. But that's neither here nor there. I apologize.
No, no, I totally get it. There's a balance between conformity and complaint and respect because some things just are backwards
Sure.
in some places.
Well, and yeah, and I cannot like the way something is done and still respect it and follow
Yeah,
the rules and do it the way it's supposed to be done. Oh, garbage. Garbage is a pain here.
yeah.
Sorting, and depending on where you live, it can be worse. Like where I am, it's not that bad, but like,
If you're gonna make it where you had to remove the little plastic tab around the drinking bottles,
mhm.
they should be like terrible, or there should be I had to take a knife. I don't have nails. I had to and all the women here with the acrylic expensive nails, you don't want to break
No,
one.
you
And
don't.
then
No.
so I had to take like a knife and remove that part. They should be designed where you can just like I don't know, break it
They
away.
used to
Or
tear. A lot of them now are doing the peel method. I don't know if
yeah,
it's
well
cheaper.
with the wrapper, that's fine. I'm talking about where the cap connects.
Mhm.
You have to remove that plastic ring.
Oh, some places, yes. Not
I
where
was
I
just told remove it everywhere. So
Oh,
I always do. And that's an extra
that's a
painful
beater.
step because it's like on there.
It's on there.
I usually take a knife and I have to like cut it open.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it should be designed differently. But I've seen some places where people are like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But when I got here, my friend was like, nope, you got to do that. And I was like,
Yeah. It can be
it's
annoying.
a pain. I was like, I need some kind of machine. I got to invent
Yeah.
some kind of
Mhm.
machine. Right. That makes as much environmental damage as throwing the plastic ring
Right.
away
Yeah.
would. So
Yeah.
that we're just at a
Yeah.
net balance.
There you go. But yeah,
So
it's
what have you enjoyed then?
yeah,
Living in Japan, you've been here back and forth a lot of
yeah.
time.
It's very safe in Japan for the most
Oh yeah.
part. I mean, and I don't just mean like there's no crime. There's crime here. There's plenty of crime here, but it's more pedestrian friendly. Children, you'll see children walking to school, which is
Yeah.
nice. It's very community oriented. That's nice. There's good things to eat here. That's fun. I like driving here when I drive. I like the car that I have here. That's fun.
What do you like about driving here compared to the US? Did it take you a while to get used to? Because
Yes.
I couldn't imagine driving
Yeah,
here.
it's all your instincts are like backwards, so
Yeah.
that's always
Because
fun.
every time I go to cross the road, even as a
You
pedestrian,
look the
I'm
wrong
looking
way.
the wrong way.
hmm
Yeah.
I still do.
And,
It's enjoyable. I don't necessarily like it more than in the US or
oh,
anything like
okay.
that. It's enjoyable. The convenience stores are great, the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
The fruit here is out of control. I don't know if you've noticed the produce
In
quality
what way? Like in a good
in a
way?
good way.
Yeah, like it's
Phenomenal.
phenomenal.
It can be more expensive, but like you go to Walmart, you get an apple that has zero flavor, right? Like you buy a peach here. I bought peaches today. It was like 1,300 yen for two peaches, right? So like $8 or $9 for two peaches. But
Yeah,
each one is like
it
it
was good.
melts in your
Yeah.
mouth, right? It's like perfection. You're like, this
Is
is
it is and it's white peach season
yeah.
now, which
hmm
I had a white peach milkshake the other
Yeah.
day and some pancakes. It was
And that's
good.
another fun thing
And
is
they had like
fentanyl.
yellow kiwi a couple months ago. That was really good.
Yeah, they have a lot of stuff going on
Yeah.
with
No,
that.
I really like the convenience stores because in America, like they don't have as many 24/7
Yeah,
places, especially like, and when I say there's a lot here, I mean there's like three within 5 minutes of where we're
right.
sitting right now.
hmm
And I go out all the time at 1 a.m. after our evening run or working on international calls, and I just go and it's crazy. There's no one in there. It's just
Right.
self-checkout, and
Well,
they're just like, we just trust you're not going
right.
to steal anything.
That's the biggest thing. I should have started with that. Japan is still a functioning high trust society for the most part. I
Yeah.
mean, you remember hearing stories probably, I think you're a little bit younger than I am, but my dad, when he was a child, would go down to the corner store and buy cigarettes and beer for his dad
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
I've
walk
heard
it
stuff
back,
like
right?
this.
Like
Yeah.
that really happened. And America used to be, for the most part,
Mm.
ethnically homogenous and culturally homogenous, up until there's like that Hart Keller or something like that, might be it. There's like that Immigration Act that changed, basically, right? And they started letting way more people in from way more different places and no caps. And, basically people just started flooding into the United States, right?
Right.
And America went from a country for good or ill. I mean, I'm not trying to say that people who aren't white are bad. I mean, obviously, I'm married to an Asian woman, have biracial kids, right? Like, I don't
hmm
hate anybody, but America was 90+% white throughout the entirety of the country and 99 to 100% white in many, many areas. Like, you watch Grease, right? It's
hmm
all white people. You watch other old movies that take place in the
hmm
American Midwest. It's all white people. It was a high trust, ethnically, culturally homogenous society, and it was safer. It's just, I
hmm
mean, you can't have people with different cultures and values that don't respect the society and
Right.
don't have the same goal and the same morals living together peacefully. I mean, diversity is our strength is a lie. I mean, it doesn't really work. And Japan is still a great example of a functional high trust
hmm
society where, for the most part, I mean, there are horror stories, of course, but children can walk to the train station and like get on the train and ride the train for 15 minutes and get
hmm
off and walk to their school in a different part of the city and
Right.
not get run over by a car, not get abducted, not get beat up and robbed, right? Like,
Mm.
if a kid walked down the street alone with a backpack in downtown Detroit,
Yeah, I
things might
understand what you're
not go
saying.
well, right?
And I think you hit a key point there, which is at what point does unfiltered or unmonitored diversity become a point where there's no respect?
hmm
When cultures are coming in and merging their cultures and their values are different.
hmm
And I think that's the point we see in America where it is such a melting pot, but some of the standards are not being respected
hmm
or they're dropping. And the same thing could happen in Japan.
Right.
Yeah.
hmm Well, and we saw what happened in like the Balkans, and they have the expression balkanization, and we see a lot of that happening in America, which is very unfortunate, where you have like the little communities who are, only focused on their little community for their one little reason, and it's a
Right.
bummer.
And we've seen the destruction of the American culture where people say
hmm
America has no culture, it's just a melting pot.
hmm
Therefore, each group do as you please,
hmm
and we have this relative standard. But America did have its own culture
Right.
and it did have its own way that it was running.
hmm
And that has shifted a lot, in some ways for better,
Sure.
and in some ways for worse.
Right. Right. Yep. And it's unfortunate that, I mean, I am just old enough to like remember life pre 9/11, right? I was in eighth grade when 9/11 happened and everything started exponentially getting worse in the United States, right?
Yeah.
And I remember what it was like to fly on an airplane before
Mm.
TSA was around. I remember like the way certain things were, the way prices were,
Mm.
and to an extent, right? I mean, I remember seeing gas for 89 cents a gallon in the United States when I was a
Wow.
young child, right? And it's like how has stuff changed so much?
Yeah.
And it's just a bummer. There is a benefit
Yeah.
to having that high trust, homogenous society with shared goals and all of that. And Japan
Yeah.
embodies that, and it's nice.
Yeah. And it's sad. It's something I wish we could see in America in the sense that like I went for a 10K run the other night at 1:30 in the morning and
Hmm.
it was finally cool out. And I was the only person. And my dad was like, "You run around outside at night over there?" I said, "Yeah."
Yeah,
There was not a single person. Passed
nobody's gonna
maybe
bother you.
one cop car one time, and they didn't think I was a loiterer or a
Yeah.
hooligan, and that was it. It was some Ubers taking people back from bars,
Hmm.
lots of fishermen, and this is a very high fishing region right here in Yokosuka. So no, it was nice.
Yeah.
It was so peaceful. I don't have a gun on me here, and I don't feel like I need one.
Right.
I don't feel like I walk around. That's not to say that there aren't stabbings or crimes,
Right.
but it is nice. And I don't think I would ever walk around as carefree in Florida or
Oh
Chicago
no.
or any of these.
Absolutely not.
And not just those hot spot places for crime, but I don't know, even in Texas,
Yeah.
even in Kansas,
I mean,
like
I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I
yeah,
carried my concealed weapon everywhere I went because
yeah,
you never know. I mean, you stop for gas and some
yeah.
insanity breaks out.
Well, where I was stationed in Virginia, they were robbing people every day, holding them at gunpoint in just the line at the Taco
Oh,
Bell.
bad news, VA?
Yeah, VA in
Yeah.
Newport News.
Yeah, bad
Yeah,
news.
bad news. That's
Yeah,
funny.
bad news, VA.
Newport News. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that whole area, I still had to think, like, I could go to a 7-Eleven any time of day here.
Right. Yep.
The 7-Eleven outside my window in Virginia, they shot a Marine 12 times just to take his wallet. They had shot a sailor multiple times. That's such a difference. And that's not to blame all of America's problems on immigration at all.
Right,
And
sure.
there's a lot of issues in
No, no.
America
I
for a
mean,
lot of different
there's
reasons.
plenty of crime that
Yeah.
happens by people whose
All
families
people.
have been in America off the Mayflower, like,
Yeah.
yep, absolutely.
Yeah. It's just sad to see how it's just run amok
Hmm.
compared to Japan has kept some things, and Japan has faced criticism for
Hmm.
keeping some things some ways. And that's kind of the turning point we're seeing now. There's two sides in Japan, one
Hmm.
that's very pro-immigration, one that's very not immigration, and then the middle one that says we should be selective about the immigrants we let in.
Hmm.
And people say that's racist, that's xenophobic. Who allows you to determine what's a high quality immigrant? But we've seen that what that process does.
Hmm.
There are different people, and it's nothing to do with what race they come from, what country they're coming from.
Hmm.
If you are a person who contributes to society and respects people and you're a good person or not, those
Yeah.
are two different people. It doesn't matter whether you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, but we've made everything into such a racial matter
Hmm.
and put that as the crucifix for it. And so I think that's the issue. Instead of
Yeah.
saying, hey, immigrants can be anyone. In America's case, it happens to be that a lot of the immigrants are coming from South America or from other countries and are people of color. But that's not to say that if it was white people coming in, we would say, oh, yeah, everyone's welcome, even the criminals. That's
Right.
not the case at all.
No, you're right. Well, and people get confused too. I mean, have you ever heard the expression that there's no magic dirt?
I have not. I have not.
So
Unpack that for us.
people attribute the success of America to like being in America.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, they think if I can just get to America, everything will be better. And
Right.
that's not how it works. The country is its people, it is its society, it
Mm,
is its culture, it is what it says when it says no, just as much as
mm.
it is when it says yes,
You
if
could
that
come
makes
to
sense.
America and fail just as badly
Right,
as you did in
exactly.
your home country.
Exactly.
It's not a There are more opportunities perhaps and
Hmm.
stuff like that, but it's also how do you use them and take
Right,
advantage of them.
exactly. So I mean, if you're
100%.
if you're a lazy scumbag in,
Yeah.
Albonia and you come to the United States of America and continue to be a lazy scumbag, things aren't going to get
Yeah.
better for you. You're just going to make America worse. We just have
Yeah.
one more lazy scumbag, and we don't need
Who
that.
has cases of soda and cookies, but is not
Maybe,
paying.
maybe,
Right,
maybe,
right,
exactly,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's you get a lot of that, and with Japan too. I mean, you
Yeah.
get a lot of magic dirt theory here, and it's not the case.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of glamorization of Japan where it says, hey, Japan's in the future. And you and I have been sharing an article back and forth about what happened in Kumamoto
Oh yeah.
recently,
Hmm.
where everyone online is enraged by it. The fact that the managers had a young woman go back into an unsafe building during
Yep.
the earthquake or right afterward
Yep.
to secure the money,
Yep.
and she lost her life.
Yep.
And then what they got was the managers went to the funeral and said, "We're sorry."
Yeah.
So there are parts of Japan like, hey, that's not in the future at
No,
all. That's not
that's
in the
sad.
future at all to me.
Yeah, a lot. Actually, having worked with the infrastructure, or not the infrastructure so much, but the technology side, the outside of big corporations in the big city, there's a lot of not great. There's a lot of stuff running XP here, man.
Mm,
Windows XP, and there's a lot of dated infrastructure when it comes to
right.
technology here. And they're working on it. They're trying to
Yeah.
bring it in, but I mean, there are still things that you have to fax here.
Right.
So I mean, that's
Well,
very
they
interesting.
the issue is people again think that central Tokyo is all of Japan.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to. There are some advanced cities of technology in Japan.
Hmm.
That's not all of Japan.
Right.
A lot of Japan is still ruralized,
Hmm.
and a lot of those areas are dying out because
Yep.
everyone's moving out.
Yeah, there's a
That
lot
people
of
are
urban
left
flight.
there. Yeah,
Yep.
and it's really bad. I wrote a college paper on it actually recently, actually just this summer, about the loneliness and suicide and depression and financial poverty rates of elderly Japanese men,
Hmm.
70 plus. Some of them are actually committing crimes to be locked up on
Right.
purpose to have food, shelter, and community.
Yep.
And to me, that is not a society of the
That's
future.
a bummer.
That's sad.
That's a big
It's the
bummer.
future we're heading towards in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Dr. Anthony Szilard said that the children in the UK are getting less sunlight exposure than inmates.
Wow.
And I don't know what article he cited, so take that with a grain of salt, but I could believe it
Okay.
easily.
I
And
mean,
it's sad.
if you're mandatory outside an hour for yard time every day, that's more than a lot of kids are going
Yeah,
outside to play because
yeah,
they just come home and video game it up.
yeah. Well, even here in Japan, every time I go to a train station, everyone's hunched over on their phone,
Hmm.
Pasmo card in one hand, phone in the other. Same with at the train station, on the trains. And in America too, I've seen people driving with TikTok on their
Oh yeah.
dashboard
Oh yeah.
while driving.
They have the TV on the dashboard here. You can watch
Yeah,
TV in your car. So
yeah. That being said, we're rushed for time because I got a
yes.
comedy show tonight that we're about to get going to. What would you want your one main important message to be, really?
Like I said, don't get me canceled, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I
I think you
guess,
already did that for yourself, though.
dang.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about coming to Japan, like, go for it. It's
Mm.
fun. Make sure you learn Japanese. It's challenging, but it's rewarding. It's definitely worked out for me. And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have some great wisdom to lay down on you or anything, but
Just a
just,
regular guy doing his
yeah,
thing.
man, just keep don't you give up, and then the world won't give up on you, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was
no, I like it
lame.
because I interview so many professionals and experts with their polished messages that they perform every day. So it's nice
Mhm.
to just sit and talk one guy to another. And also, again, doing an in-person interview with some guy I met one time.
Right, right.
He had, one cheek stuffed with Wagyu. He had, champagne in the other hand, mobile game in the other hand, and
Yeah.
angry wife texting, "Where are you? Are you coming home soon yet?" in the other
No,
hand.
she
And
knew where I was. She wasn't mad,
yeah,
but she was actually excited that I got to see the Def Tech guy. So
yeah.
Shane. So yeah, that was cool.
But again, so great to just have a
Yeah.
regular
Thanks for
in-person
having me.
interview. It's something that doesn't happen often. So, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you
Thank you,
for
sir.
having me.
Yep.